A woman will never approach you and announce, "I've decided I want you. Do something about it before I reconsider." That's not how female communication usually works. Attraction is often expressed in quieter, more subtle ways. Many women communicate interest through body language, facial expressions, tone of voice, and small behavioral shifts long before they ever say anything directly. The challenge is that these signals can be easy to overlook, especially if you're focused on saying the perfect thing instead of paying attention to how the interaction feels. Learning to recognize these moments isn't about memorizing tricks. It's about becoming more observant, emotionally aware, and respectful of the other person's comfort and interest. Research in nonverbal communication has consistently shown that much of human interaction happens beyond words. We notice posture, gestures, eye contact, distance, and movement without even realizing it. These cues don't guarantee attraction, and they should never be treated as proof that someone wants a romantic relationship. Instead, they provide context. The healthiest approach is to notice patterns rather than single gestures, because one behavior alone can have many explanations. Before we go any further, I want to ask you something. Have you ever walked away from a conversation wondering, was she interested, or was she just being friendly? Or maybe you've looked back months later and suddenly realized you completely missed signs that someone enjoyed being around you. If that's happened, you're definitely not alone. Tell me in the comments if you've ever discovered too late that someone liked you. Your story might help another viewer avoid making the same mistake. And if you're enjoying videos that explore human behavior, relationships, and psychology in a practical way, take a moment to like this video. It really helps us continue creating content that encourages healthier and more confident relationships. I'm Mary Smith, host of Senior Mindful Living YouTube channel. One of the biggest misunderstandings in dating is the belief that attraction should always be obvious. Movies teach us that sparks fly instantly, and everyone knows exactly what the other person feels. Real life is rarely that simple. Most people, especially those who value emotional safety, reveal interest gradually. They watch how you respond. They observe whether you make them feel respected, relaxed, and understood. Attraction often grows through comfort before it becomes confidence. Today we're going to explore 8 common hand-related behaviors that can sometimes appear when a woman feels comfortable and potentially attracted to someone. Notice the word sometimes. These are possibilities, not guarantees. Human beings are wonderfully complex, and every individual expresses themselves differently. The real skill isn't assuming attraction. It's learning to notice combinations of behaviors while always respecting boundaries and clear communication. As we go through these examples, ask yourself another question. Have you been paying attention to what people are communicating without words? Or have you been so busy rehearsing your next sentence that you've missed what's happening in front of you? Let's begin with the first behavior. A woman may occasionally touch her hair before allowing her hand to slowly move toward her neck or collarbone during conversation. On the surface, this seems insignificant. People adjust their hair all the time. But context changes everything. Imagine you're sitting across from someone in a quiet coffee shop. The conversation flows naturally. She smiles, tilts her head slightly, brushes a strand of hair behind her ear, and instead of immediately dropping her hand, she lets it rest briefly near her neck. Then a few minutes later, she repeats the same movement while maintaining warm eye contact. Psychologists have long observed that people often reveal comfort by exposing areas of the body they instinctively protect. The neck is one of those vulnerable areas. When someone repeatedly exposes it while remaining relaxed, it can sometimes reflect trust and emotional ease. But here's the important part. Don't immediately conclude that this means she's romantically interested. Instead, ask yourself whether this gesture appears alongside genuine engagement. Is she asking questions about your life? Is she remembering small details? Is she leaning into the conversation? Attraction usually reveals itself through clusters of behaviors, not isolated moments. The second behavior involves objects. Have you ever noticed someone slowly tracing the edge of a coffee cup, adjusting a necklace repeatedly, or absent-mindedly running their fingers along the handle of a glass while talking with you? This kind of gentle movement can simply be nervous energy. Many people fidget when they're excited or emotionally invested in a conversation. Sometimes psychologists describe this as displacement behavior, where emotional energy gets redirected into harmless physical movement. Picture a first date. Both people are interested, but slightly nervous. Neither wants to move too quickly. Instead of reaching across the table, she gently rotates her glass while smiling as you tell a story. Her attention never leaves you. She laughs easily. She asks follow-up questions. It's not the glass that's meaningful. It's the combination of relaxed body language, sustained attention, and emotional presence. The third behavior is light, respectful physical contact. Human touch has always played an important role in creating connection. A brief touch on the forearm during laughter or a gentle tap on the shoulder to emphasize a point can sometimes signal increased comfort. Notice I said comfort. Comfort comes before attraction. Healthy relationships are built on mutual trust, not assumptions. Imagine you're telling a funny story, and she laughs so naturally that she lightly touches your arm for a second. Rather than overanalyzing it, simply continue being present. Stay relaxed. Let the conversation develop naturally. One mistake many people make is believing every touch demands an immediate romantic response. It doesn't. Sometimes the best response is simply maintaining the same warm, respectful energy you've already created. Confidence isn't rushing forward. Confidence is staying calm. The fourth behavior involves open palms. Open palms have fascinated researchers for decades because they're associated with openness, honesty, and emotional availability across many cultures. Think about conversations you've had with people you deeply trust. Notice how little effort they make to protect themselves physically. Their gestures become broader. Their movements become more relaxed. Their hands become visible. Now compare that with someone who feels uncomfortable. Their arms cross. Their hands disappear into pockets. Their shoulders tighten. Again, these aren't universal rules. People have different personalities. Some naturally gesture more than others. The goal isn't reading minds. The goal is becoming more emotionally observant. The fifth behavior is brief hand contact. Perhaps your fingers brush while exchanging something. Maybe she playfully compares hand sizes. Or perhaps she jokingly offers to read your palm. Hands are incredibly sensitive. Even brief contact activates areas of the brain associated with social bonding. But here's where emotional maturity matters most. If contact happens naturally, don't panic. You don't need to suddenly transform into someone you're not. Simply remain present. One of the most attractive qualities any person can have is emotional steadiness. People remember how relaxed they felt around you far longer than they remember the clever joke you told. The sixth behavior is wrist exposure. The inner wrist is another area people unconsciously protect. During relaxed conversation, someone who feels completely comfortable may rest their arms so their wrists remain visible rather than hidden. Again, this isn't proof of attraction. It can simply reflect trust. And trust is actually more valuable than attraction. Because attraction can begin a relationship, trust is what sustains it. Think about the healthiest couples you know. They're not constantly trying to impress each other. They're comfortable. They're relaxed. They feel emotionally safe. That's the real foundation most people are searching for, whether they realize it or not. The seventh behavior is mirroring. This may be one of the most fascinating discoveries in social psychology. When people genuinely connect, they naturally begin mirroring each other's posture, speech rhythm, gestures, and sometimes even facial expressions. Have you ever crossed your legs only to notice the other person doing the same a few moments later? Or leaned forward during an interesting story and watched them lean forward too? This often happens completely outside conscious awareness. It's your nervous system's quietly saying, "We're in sync." Healthy attraction often feels less like performance and more like rhythm. Instead of trying to manufacture chemistry, focus on creating comfort. When comfort grows, synchronization often follows naturally. Now we arrive at the 8th behavior. This one isn't about a quick touch. It's about lingering comfort. Sometimes, during a close conversation, someone may leave their hand resting briefly on your arm while making a point or maintain gentle contact for an extra second before pulling away. The important word is comfortable, not forced, not awkward. Comfortable. This behavior can suggest that physical closeness feels natural to them. But even here, respect remains essential. Never assume ongoing contact means unlimited permission. The healthiest relationships are built when both people continually pay attention to each other's responses and respect changing boundaries. One of the biggest lessons psychology teaches us is that attraction is rarely created by grand gestures. It's built through dozens of tiny moments. Listening instead of interrupting. Remembering details. Making someone laugh. Showing genuine curiosity. Respecting their pace. Creating emotional safety. Those small moments accumulate until one day someone realizes they simply enjoy being around you. Here's a story that perfectly illustrates this. A man once shared that he spent months believing a coworker was completely uninterested in him because she never flirted in obvious ways. Years later, they happened to reconnect. She laughed and admitted she had enjoyed talking with him every day. She remembered the little conversations. She always found excuses to sit nearby during lunch. She mirrored his schedule without realizing it. She smiled whenever he entered the room. He had missed every single one. Not because he lacked intelligence, because he was searching for certainty instead of paying attention to connection. That story reminds us of something incredibly important. Relationships aren't puzzles to solve. They're experiences to participate in. If you spend the entire interaction trying to decode every movement, you'll miss the conversation itself. Instead, become curious. Notice patterns. Stay present. Ask thoughtful questions. Listen carefully. And if you feel interested, communicate honestly and respectfully. Confidence isn't pretending to know exactly what someone feels. Confidence is being willing to express your own feelings while accepting whatever answer comes back with maturity. That kind of confidence is surprisingly rare, and it's often far more attractive than any perfectly timed line. So the next time you're talking with someone, pay attention, not just to what they're saying, but to how the interaction feels overall. Are they engaged? Do they maintain comfortable eye contact? Do they seem genuinely curious about you? Do they smile naturally? Do they seem relaxed in your presence? Those patterns will usually tell you much more than any single gesture ever could. If you made it all the way to the end, I'd love to hear from you. Comment, "I watched till the end," and tell me which of these behaviors surprised you the most. Have you ever recognized one of these signals only after the opportunity had already passed? Your experiences make these conversations richer for everyone reading the comments. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share it with someone who enjoys learning about psychology and relationships, and subscribe for more thoughtful discussions about attraction, communication, emotional intelligence, and the fascinating ways people connect beyond words. Thank you so much for spending your time here today. I'll see you in the next video.